I was always very wary of Scott Brown. Scott Brown, during the April 15th Tea Party, couldn't take the time to come back here and appear on stage, albeit with Sarah Palin,
I was there.
but couldn't take the time to fly. I mean, I just drove 9 hours to get back home to Massachusetts for the weekend.
By
Okay,
plane, it's what, a half hour?
90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Okay, because we live, in fact, we live right in Manassas, and we live about a 10, 15-minute drive from Dulles Airport.
Okay.
Okay, 90 minutes. Could not fly to come up and say thank you to the people who elected him. There's a lot of things that, but at the same time, on the left, all the hand-wringing that's going on, and getting back to what I just said about thank you. Right now, the left seems to, from the reports in the media, are feeling very unenergized by what's going on. Why? They got the banking reform they wanted. They got the unions a big stake in the car companies. They got the health care, albeit they didn't get the public option they want. But look at what they got. At any point, did they ever say thank you? Or is it all about, we're mad, we want more? You do that stuff often enough, and you're going to turn off so many people that at this point, to answer the long way around answering your question, there is a very good chance that not only can the Republicans take the Congress, but now they're even talking about a 50-50 split in the Senate.
Okay.
Which, Joe Biden could break that, but it could just make all kinds of ugliness for Obama. And he's already, probably, for the person who is supposed to be the great communicator, or the second coming of what Reagan was as far as the great communicator is, how you can keep on trying to get support from a segment of the population when you keep saying that they're misguided, when you keep on dissing their representatives, and this constant thing about blaming Bush. I mentioned to, and it's still one of my punchlines, I find it very humorous that a black man is constantly complaining about his inheritance, okay? He keeps on saying, I inherited this. And I made the football analogy, and I'll make it again.
You did.
It would be about like Bill Belichick or any new coach taking over a football team, and a few games into the season, things are not going well, and you go back and you blame your previous coach and the previous organizational structure, the GM and all that. How long would that fly? It wouldn't. But yet, Barack Obama, because he also has a media that will parrot these things, will keep saying, it's not my fault, it's Bush's fault, it's what I inherited. And it keeps, and nobody's buying it anymore. I thought one of the most fascinating things I read even this morning was that young people, the young punks that got in our faces and was saying, you need to vote for Bush, and for Obama, what are you thinking? And all of a sudden they've become all these politically savvy people, and they told us why we had to vote for Obama. And now, they're discovering that because they haven't been able to find jobs, because things aren't as rosy as now all of a sudden they're leaning Republican. Well, great. But, don't go patting yourselves on the back just yet, because you were wrong then, and it's going to take a lot of time for people to turn around and try to find the newfound wisdom in your words.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That you are a resident of the state of Virginia.
Yeah,
the
Commonwealth of Virginia. I just got a new driver's license.
Okay. Are you active with your local Republican committee there?
I've gone to a meeting.
Now, it's county organizations as opposed to the city and towns that we have in Massachusetts.
I am not really, I've gone to one meeting. I actually went to, a couple nights ago, in fact, it was just before we drove up here, I went to the opening of a candidate. He had a new headquarters, and he's a congressional candidate. I don't know a whole lot about the structure. I'm always accused down there of thinking with my small state brain. So I don't know what the structure is. But no, there is a very active Republican Party in Manassas, where I live, in the state of Virginia. They're constantly complaining about their representation. They have, instead of the state legislature, they have the House of Delegates.
I'm aware.
So they're complaining about their 44% representation. I'm saying 44%? You should come to Massachusetts where it's 13, 11. The Democrats don't even have to tell us when they're crafting any legislation because the rules, they don't have to.
It's 5 out of 40 in the state Senate.
Yeah.
And there's 16 out of 160 in the House. And
But in Virginia, they're right in the middle of a lot of the fights against Obamacare. And I think one of the things that people really have to watch out for, because, and again, I like to always look at things both ways. Let's say, for example, the butt whooping that's about to happen was the other way around. The Republicans are in charge, they're about to get, pushed out of power by Democrats. Okay. What would be the first thing the Democrats would be saying? In the little bit of time in between before the Democrats take over, don't do anything funny. Be respectful. Show some decorum and all that. But we've been talking for months now about what the Democrats will do if they are thrown out of power. In that 1 month between November and the January session, they're talking about the Democrats will just ram through card check. They will ram through cap and trade. They will ram through card check. I think I already said card check. But there are things that they know the people don't want, but it could be just like the last act of defiance, the middle finger to the American people that threw them out. And there's a lot of people who are wary of the fact that they're going to do that. The other thing, amnesty for legal aliens.
That's another risk.
That's another thing that they could just, because this will be the last time Obama could just sign something. And and the election will be over, so all the squishy Republicans like Susan Collins and Olympia Snow and Scott Brown, they could turn around and vote for this on the way because they won't have to worry for at least another couple years. So you never know.
Like I said, the political culture of Virginia is very, very different than here. Like you already hit on some of the things I was going to bring up, that it's one of 2 states that holds its statewide elections, for the constitutional offices in the odd-numbered year following the presidential election. And you had a sweep last November, and there's only 3 constitutional officers that are elected by the people. You have a governor, lieutenant governor, and an attorney general.
And they all swept last fall.
Right, and the governor has a cabinet, which is very similar to the presidential cabinet, where things like the state treasurer, for example, is appointed by the state legislature. You don't even elect the Secretary of State. That's an appointed position. The lieutenant governor is also the president of the state Senate, unlike Massachusetts. But what's something unusual about Virginia is that the governor is restricted to 1 term, cannot succeed him or herself, which means the minute you take office, you're a lame duck. Do you have any opinion on that? Is it good or bad?
Well, it would be easy to throw in the Constitution. Is this constitutional? But I also tried to respect the wisdom of the people who preceded, the wisdom of the people who originally wrote what those rules were. They had to have had a reason.
The one thing that I'd be concerned about is that, let's say you get a very, very good governor. Now, most states that have term limits, it's 2 terms, 8 years. Let's say, of course, California falls in that category, Hawaii, I'm thinking even Mississippi, Haley Barbour, I believe, is ineligible for another term. But let's say you get a really good governor and can't succeed him or herself. And how do you build up a good resume, let's say, to run for president? When you have this, you can come back after the 4 years out, you can run for a non-consecutive term. That's my one concern, is that it could hurt a Virginian
But at the same time, we've seen governors who've had 2 terms.
Right.
The first term is a good term. Second term, that is kind of going through the motions. And if you had any momentum over the first 4 years, they're quickly dropped off the table by the second term. And then you would have to start making excuses. So I don't know. I'm kind of new to the process myself, but I could only see that you go in there to get a job done. You know you have a finite amount of time to do it. You don't have to spend a third of your next term starting to ramp up for re-election and start pandering. You just know you've got in there, you got to get a job done, and you do it.